Hi, it's Mac from the Rubik's Cubed, and today I have an unboxing from the Cubicle. So I am really excited for this. So this was a big deal at Nationals. The Cubicle got in GANis in stock for like the last couple of days of Nationals, and so everybody was getting GANis. And I wanted one, but I didn't want to spend $90, and Jules at the Cubicle was nice enough to send me one to test. So not only do we have the GANi, but we also have a YJ 7x7. If this is any indication, you can tell how seriously I take 7x7. I don't speed solve 7x7. I haven't picked up a 7x7 in a very long time, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how a budget magnetic 7x7 works. So let's take a look. The shades are actually pretty good. Normally sticular shades are really bad for me because this green is like a floral green and it's like too light and it matches the yellow, but this one's actually not too bad. It's darker. So with that said, let's just get into some turning. Oh, wow. Okay. Now I definitely for sure do not have any sort of experience turning 7x7s. But this one doesn't really strike me as something that's super great to turn. I mean, you can see that I'm catching on the outer layers, and like on my third turn, I got almost a pop, like a piece slid by another one. I can feel the magnets, and it is quite loose. The outer layers are really fast. So, I mean, for sure, this is going to beat any sort of 7x7 that I have right now. I mean, VCube, forget about it. Shengshao 7x7, this thing is super slow, and it's just, yeah, see? So, I mean, by my standards, this is obviously a very good choice. Big cubes are often, they're better if they're, like, in my opinion, slower and stabler, because you can have more accurate turning. So, I mean, that's a problem, you see? I don't really see why it's a good idea to magnetize a budget 7x7. That just doesn't seem like a smart idea to me. I don't know who's going to be purchasing this with the intent of speed solving 7x7s like to a high degree. Maybe if you're just trying to get into 7x7 and learn, and you're trying to improve, like sort of where I am, if you're trying to take a jump from a Shengshao, I suppose. And if you're on a budget and you're not really that serious about like really professional speed cubing, I guess you could do that and this would be your cube. But if you're at all serious about big cubes, you would probably invest more money into like something a bit more expensive. And that is my very unprofessional opinion from a standpoint of not knowing anything about big cubes. So take that with a grain of salt, basically. So recently on YouTube, a lot of the content I've been watching is like music critics. And one thing I like about their videos is that they have a rating system that seems to work really well. And so I wanted to try that for cubing. So whenever I unbox a cube or review a puzzle, and I haven't reviewed a puzzle in a while, but if I ever do that, I'm going to give it a rating. It's often based on expectations. So if I have high expectations on a puzzle, the rating's going to be a bit lower, but it'll give you an idea of like my general thoughts on a cube. So 1 is a garbage cube and there's nothing redeemable about it. And a 10 exceeds every single expectation and is immediately a favorite puzzle that's going to make me want to pick up that cube a lot, or make me practice that event more. And 5 would be just an average puzzle. Like it performs average, it meets my expectations but doesn't exceed them, stuff like that. So with that said, this YJ Yufu 7x7 is going to get a 4 from me. Just right now, it sort of didn't really meet my expectations, which was going to be just a solid but not mind-blowing 7x7. The turning is like way too loose and fast, and I was getting catches on it without even doing anything major. So this definitely is not a garbage cube. It has redeemable qualities as a budget 7x7, but it's not going to be something that is going to drop your times drastically or anything. It's not a top 7x7. With that out of the way, let's get into the GANi. That's not a good sound. Oh my God. I like this packaging. I mean, I've seen it before because people opened up the cube around me, but it's very minimalistic. This is a charging stand for the cube. It sort of plugs in around the center pieces right here, and that's how it charges. So that's pretty cool. Here we got some information, which I'm sure will actually be important in this. It's not just a pamphlet you're going to throw away. Yeah, so like here's information. I know you turn it on by shaking it, and you turn it off by doing a bunch of U2s. Oh, look at that. We also have a little GAN bag in here. So I did hear from my friend Dan or dlscubing that, and Allison, when I felt their GANis, that it is better to do the spring swap because the cube is very loose out of the box, and you only gain some control when you put in those tighter springs. So that's something I might do. Okay, so all that stuff out of the way, here we have the actual puzzle. I didn't ever think we would get to this point. This is a $90 3x3 base, $90 3x3. I don't know. I mean, I think in the near future we might be reaching over $100 base puzzles. I think that will happen only if Bluetooth puzzles start to become comp legal, because then we'll have an actual a better reason to start modding them. Like Cubicle will start making Pro Shop versions of them. But as for right now, this is just crazy. Oh yeah. It's got a really nice sandy feel. I'm curious as to exactly what the mechanism is. It is like really, really loose and fast. That's why it's sort of a good idea to put in the other spring, the higher compression springs. This one is quite loose out of the box. And of course, this one does not have like a GES nut system, because under these center caps is a lot of hardware other than just cubing internals. So, I mean, taking a look at that, that is definitely a different sort of mechanism working in there. It is magnetized, which is interesting. It's pretty light magnets, but they are definitely, you can feel them, and probably better than not having magnets. So that's a good added bonus. But certainly there were probably some engineering challenges when putting together a cube like this. You got to fit the internals into the mechanism of the puzzle. Like, that's pretty intense. I'm really excited that this is actually a good cube. The idea of a Bluetooth puzzle is to get sort of stats about your solves, and having a puzzle that's actually highly viable as a main makes it so much easier for you to actually use this for stats when you're practicing. And so that really excites me as sort of like a stats nerd. But of course, to get to there, we actually have to turn it on. The problem with this is that I use my phone to record, so I can't really download the app and show you guys without getting something else to record with. So I'm going to revisit this, and I'll probably do a few GoPro solves so that you can see what it looks like. I'm giving this a solid 8. My expectations were relatively high. That's why this is not like a 9 or a 10. And also, I have not had the opportunity to set it up yet. Just as an analog puzzle, it is very solid. Not even mentioning that this is a Bluetooth cube, like, which is crazy. I just spent about 10 minutes talking to a GoPro that wasn't even on, so we're going to try this again. It's been about a week and a half since I've unboxed the GANi. It's right here charging in its little station, and I'm back to talk about my thoughts on the puzzle and the app and show you how it works. So this is CubeStation. You can make an account. My account's TheRubiksCubed, of course. So basically, my experience with the app and connecting the puzzle has been pretty good, but it was relatively simple and it connected after a couple tries. And this is how it works to turn it on. Basically, you give it 5 shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then Michael just lit up right there. The cube's named Michael. Don't ask. I just picked a random name. And then over here, you can hit connect, and it connects up. Or it gives you connection failed. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, now it's connected. It's showing a full battery. And here I can rotate it freely, as you can see, and it's rotating with the puzzle. So this is the main mode right here, Algorithm Scramble. So you've probably seen this cool feature before on other videos, but it's showing an R right now. If I accidentally did an L, it would show me, or a U, let's say, it would show me the correct moves to bring me back to the first scramble. So I can continue. So you're always going to get it won't start timing unless you have the correct scramble, which is pretty cool. No missed scrambles on this thing. And as soon as I start turning here, you can see up here it's going to start timing. So there it goes. Do a quick solve. Hopefully it's good for the camera. Rough PLL, but I got a 16. That's below average, so that's pretty good. You can see down here that was a fluency of 73. That's about average for me. Fluency measures your pauses basically, and I'm pretty pausy. So 13 rotations is pretty bad. 4.1 TPS, I average 4. 62 moves, that's pretty good actually. And so you can see all the stats real time on your solve that you just completed. And then of course it gives you averages up top here. So really this is the benefit of getting a Bluetooth cube. It's this information down here, because it would take previously, if you got a PB or something, it would take like upwards of like 5 or 10 minutes to work out your solution, write it down, figure out your TPS and your rotations, etc. And you wouldn't even get a stat like fluency. So that's what's really cool about this puzzle. We can go and check my stats over here at the bottom, and it gives stuff like that's fluency. My best ever fluency was an 84. That's likely not one of my solves. You can see from times here there are a couple dips that where other people use them. And then you can look through over here at steps and rotations and TPS. This is pretty underwhelming. The stats page really isn't that great. The only thing it tells you is your best ever, and the graph isn't really that helpful. You can kind of zoom in, but not really. There's no trend line or anything like that. It's just kind of subpar. I wish you would be able to expand this a little bit more because it's tiny. Under step, I can barely read what my best ever is. I gotta like scroll and like kind of look at it. Looks like 59. It's just not great. And that's an overall theme with CubeStation as an app. It's not a polished app. Half of its stuff is still not translated from Chinese. There are a lot of bugs. There are software issues. There's no better example of that than the online battle. So I've only been able to play Ava. I have been successful with adding Ava as a friend and then challenging her when we're both online at the same time. However, there have been a few issues. Sometimes one of our sides won't start, or one of our cubes will just drop its connection. I haven't had that issue, but Ava has said her cube has dropped connection. I've heard from other people that they've had connection issues. Luckily, I have not had that with this puzzle. It's connected just fine, and I haven't had it drop, really. It turns on and off when I want it to. But yeah, the friend battles need to be improved for sure. Another annoying thing is that once you finish one solve, you gotta exit out and re-invite the friend to do another solve. You can't just stay in a session. So it's a pretty unpolished app. Now, why would you get this puzzle? The reason you would own a Bluetooth cube is for practice. You would get it for those real-time stats because that would make practicing smarter. Because of that purpose, I just can't recommend this as something that most people should get right now, because the software just isn't there yet. The hardware is very impressive. I'm going to stick with my initial impression of an 8 out of 10 because this cube is very, very good. Some people have changed the compression of the springs, but I kind of like it loose like this. It's very good performance. I haven't had any connection issues personally, and the hardware is just really solid. Just the software end is subpar. Sometimes it doesn't record those stats that I'm saying is the whole reason why you would have this cube. The online's kind of shoddy. The stats aren't really 100% up to par as far as displaying them, as I showed you over here. It's just not where I would like it to be for spending $90 on a cube. So I would wait for that technology to improve a little bit more before you think of investing in a Bluetooth puzzle for the purpose of practice. And it would only be for practice because it's not WCA legal right now. But yeah, those are generally my thoughts as far as the GANi. I really enjoy this puzzle. I love solving on it. It's super cool to show people, and it's great to practice on because I get those stats like TPS, which I'm trying to improve personally. However, for $90, it's a bit of a stretch right now. So I would hold off. I think GAN is definitely going to improve in the app department, and then when we get a Bluetooth cube that maybe is a bit smarter app-wise, then I would say it might be a worthy investment if you want to really be smarter with your practice. Anyway, that's about it for this unboxing. A big thank you once again to my sponsor at The Cubicle for sending me these puzzles to test. My last unboxing from The Cubicle is right there if you're interested. And that's about it for this one. Thank you very much for watching.